So I have to admit, I've never really heard of Archer Mountain or knew much about it up until the Eagle Creek fire. And that's because when the Eagle Creek fire was going on, the fire was so hot and so intense, it started a spot fire on the slopes of Archer Mountain. But ever since then, it's always been like on the back of my mind, like what's over there? So I was finally able to go over there and check it out. So let's talk about it. So the Archer Mountain Loop Trail, where is it? Well, it's located on the Washington side of the Columbia River Gorge, about 13 miles east of Washougal on Highway 14. After about 13 miles, you're going to turn left on the Smith Cripe Road for about 2 miles until the road end at the trailhead. So what are the trail stats? Well, the trail is only 4.7 miles round trip with a total elevation gain of around 1,600 feet. Now, if you're planning on adding Quiver Point or Arrow Point to your itinerary, it is going to add a little bit more mileage and a little bit more elevation, so just keep that in mind. And I'd say the best time to do this hike would either be spring or fall. I'd say the summertime would get pretty hot, and in the wintertime it's doable, but if there's any ice or snow on the ground, I tend to avoid it because this trail is really, really steep and there's some exposure areas. And lastly, I highly recommend downloading the trail before you head out because there's a lot of misleading trails going in several different directions. I didn't end up doing that and ended up taking a couple wrong turns here and there. So download the trail. So to start this hike, the hike starts on what looks like an old road. It makes its way up the hill until you go through a pretty vast meadow. And the meadow is really nice because it has views of Archer Mountain and the surrounding area. Shortly after the meadow, the trail is going to hit an intersection and you're going to want to go right down the hill. And as you're going down the hill, you're eventually going to hit Archer Creek where it crosses it on a footbridge. After you leave the creek, the trail is going to continue up through the woods until you hit a seasonal creek. There's kind of an intersection through here, and you're not going to want to cross the creek because from here, the trail just goes straight up the hill, kind of next to that seasonal creek, but on the left side. As you're making your way up through the trail, you'll start to get beautiful views of the Columbia River Gorge. But it is, like I said, really, really steep here. Eventually, the trail is not going to be quite as steep until you reach a very prominent switchback with a small trail kind of continuing on. This is Scotts Point. It's pretty much mostly obscured by forest. You do get a few peekaboo views through the forest of the gorge and also of Archer Falls itself, which looks really cool. So back at the switchback, the trail is going to continue up until in a short distance you reach another intersection. Now this is the intersection for the Archer Mountain Loop. I went left, headed towards Archer Grove. The trail continues along, going steadily up through the forest to Archer Grove, where it's pretty much just a grove of fir trees. Nothing really special. From here, the trail starts to wind over its way towards Archer Mountain. When you get to the top of Archer Mountain, you're treated with more obscure views and a lot of brush. You could say you made it to the top of the mountain. So from Archer Mountain, the trail continues down the hill until you reach another intersection. To the left is Arrow Point. As you're moving along the ridge, you'll eventually hit a plaque that says that they don't want you to go any further. Turn around and continue down till you hit the main loop again. From the main loop, it continues on until you reach Quiver Point. Now, Quiver Point, you kind of have to head down the hill to reach the point. And this area is through the Eagle Creek Fire burn area. And it's pretty scorched through here and it's pretty open. It's also really brushy through here and it's really, really steep to get down to Quiver Point. Now, Quiver Point actually has the best view of this trail. You get unobstructed views to the east and the west of the Columbia River Gorge. It's quite beautiful, but it's also extremely exposed. So if it's really windy here, it's a no-go. And even if it's wet, getting down to Quiver Point itself will be quite challenging because it's really, really steep. But when you're done with Quiver Point, head back up to the main trail, back down to complete the loop, and back to your car. So what did I like about the trail? Well, For starters, it was a pretty quiet trail. I only saw one other person. And the highlight here is definitely Quiver Point. It provides the best view of all the other viewpoints on this trail. All the other features that are mentioned on this trail are really disappointing and would not be a worthy destination whatsoever. And if I'm actually comparing Arrow Point with Quiver Point actually, honestly, is probably more exposed than Arrow Point. But they don't want you going out on Arrow Point, which makes me believe that perhaps it has kind of a tragic backstory. But Quiver Point has the better view anyway. But because most of these destinations are uneventful, uninspiring, and plain disappointing, other than Quiver Point, I have to rate this hike a one and done. But if I was planning on doing this hike again, and that's a big if, I'd probably focus on the fall time. There is a lot of vine maples throughout the forest, and the view at River Point would probably be pretty spectacular with the fall foliage of the Columbia Gorge. But as a bow hunter myself, I can now say I've climbed Archer Mountain. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, hit a like, hit a subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.